We are delighted to have Mayor London Breed with us this morning to discuss her vision for the future of San Francisco and her plans to tackle some of the challenges the city faces. Mayor London N. Breed is the 45th mayor of the city and county of San Francisco and the first African-American woman mayor in the city's history. We're very proud of that. And she is a native San Franciscan raised by her grandmother in public housing in the Western Addition. Mayor Breed is committed to creating an equitable and just San Francisco, strengthening opportunities for all, and of course, building more housing. So, Mayor Breed, thank you so much for being with us, and please welcome San Francisco Mayor London Breed.
Good morning, everybody. Am I like the brightest person in the room? Thank you for those who wore color today. Usually I'm not a morning person, but I got up bright and early to get to this breakfast because I need your help. I need your help to make sure that the future vision that we have for this city, a more equitable, a more just, a more affordable city, actually happens. I want to start by thanking John Ram, who has served for the past 12 years as our planning director, for the work that you've done here in San Francisco. John, please stand. Thank you, John. He's going to be so bored that he might come back and help us for free, maybe as a planning commissioner, who knows. But thank you, John, so much for your work and your dedication to San Francisco. Now today, I really want to talk about what we've done, because we always talk about the problems. We know those problems exist. We know housing and homelessness go hand in hand. We know people, sadly, on our streets suffer from mental illness, and we are desperately trying to put forth the kinds of policies that are going to make a difference. And we've made progress. Last year, over 2,100 people who exited homelessness in San Francisco, a record number despite the challenges that not only exist around homelessness in San Francisco, but the challenges that exist all over this entire state. I'm really proud of that, and I'm also proud of the legislation that State Senator Scott Wiener passed around conservatorship, and we are definitely in the process of implementing that law right here in San Francisco to get those people off the streets into treatment. Yes, it's controversial, but it's necessary, because we know that the problems we hear about on a regular basis, the random attacks and other things that people face as they're just trying to go home or to work, are unacceptable. And we can't continue to allow what is happening in San Francisco to happen. And so we are going to have to make the hard decisions. Yes, it requires more mental health stabilization beds. It requires more hard decisions. And yes, sadly, the truth is, and no one wants to hear the truth, it will require some people to be in locked hospital facilities. And so I want to make sure that when we talk about mental health reform, and many of you know I hired the first ever mental health reform director, that we don't just put forth policies that might sound good. We need to make sure these policies actually work. And we are going to need policies from our state officials in order to really get the job done. So I'm committed to mental health reform. I'm committed to making sure that the policies actually work. And what's more important is to make sure that we are honest with the public about what we can and can't do at a local level and what our plans are for the future to address one of the biggest challenges that we face in San Francisco. So let's talk about what we have done. I'm really excited because we are going to see a difference around housing development. And no, it's not going to happen overnight. But many of you know, many of you reached out to me to ask for this position, and because of you, Judson now has a job in San Francisco, and he doesn't have to commute to Sacramento. Judson True, the new housing delivery director, who's been working nonstop over the past year to really move forward large projects in San Francisco. We know that over 73,000 units are in the pipeline now, and with a small number, well, not even a small number, but a few projects in particular Those projects, those large-scale projects, represent over 40,000 units total. 40,000 units that have actually been approved in projects like Pier 70, so I know Jack is really happy about that, in projects like Potrero Hill and Sunnydale, our public housing developments, which will not only create new units for those existing residents, but will provide additional units for San Franciscans. You know, the 5N project, so many amazing projects in San Francisco that we need to get done that are approved, and because of what you all know, our challenges with barriers to infrastructure and a number of other things, and sadly sometimes lack of clear communication from departments, you know, we know that it has been a problem, but with our new housing delivery director, who is really on the ground working with various departments to develop a better system to work through, those projects are approved, they're on their way, and we're going to get them done. Just imagine 40,000 new units that we're able to open in San Francisco and what that would do for the future of our city. So I am really laser focused on making sure we get the job done. And we've proven that we can get the job done. Just think about last year, the accessory dwelling units and the directive that I gave to say, you know what, departments, you work together, you work together, you work together. I don't know what the details are, but figure it out. And they figured it out. And we had a 900-unit backlog, and guess what? Just a couple weeks ago, we approved our 1,000th ADU permit in San Francisco. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So we know, working together, we can get the job done, but we have to make the right decisions. So part of that involves passing the $600 million affordable housing bond, which doesn't raise property taxes, so I know you want to clap for that. But more importantly, this is the largest affordable housing bond in the history of the city, which provides housing opportunities for low-income residents, for our educators, for our seniors, and guess what? For the first time ever, our middle-income residents. People who are just basically, they don't make enough to qualify for affordable housing, but they make too much to qualify for affordable housing, but they don't make enough to afford market rate. The people that we're losing, the missing middle in San Francisco, first time ever, making sure that they are not forgotten in our plans to build a better, more equitable San Francisco. But all of you know, all of you in this room who are developers and lawyers and other folks who are involved in this industry, you know that it takes more than money. And let me tell you, I don't even want to go off on a tangent, but I'm going to have to today because I need your help. It takes changing how our process, how we fundamentally approve, and the process and the bureaucracy and what we do that makes it so difficult to build any kind of housing in San Francisco. I mean, look at what just happened this past year. I put forth one of the most, I think, easy charter amendments ever to streamline 100% affordable housing, 100% teacher housing, streamlined to say if they are following the laws that have already been on the books, they're not asking for a height increase, they're not asking for anything other than what already exists, then let them build and let them build now to speed up the process for 100% affordable and teacher housing. And you all know what happened. It didn't happen at the Board of Supervisors. Yes, a consensus happened when it came to the $600 million affordable housing bond, and I'm really proud and happy about that, but not when it came to bureaucracy, not when it came to process. And part of what we have to do is we have to change how we communicate the message around what we are doing to get more housing built. Because I can't help but think about growing up in San Francisco, growing up in public housing, and when many of my friends started working for the city, started working for the state, driving Muni, they kind of hit that threshold where they couldn't afford to live here anymore because we didn't build enough housing. I think about the family that is growing and just needs a permit from planning to add an extra room and the drama that comes with that and the bureaucracy that gets in the way. I think about so many people who are trying to hold on, but they can't because we have not built enough housing. And so we can't say we want to build enough housing and then when policies to do that are proposed, we are opposed to them. So we need to take our case to the voters. We need to do things differently. And that's my plan. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up on really pushing to make it easier to build housing in San Francisco because the future of our city depends on it. So when I call you and I'm asking for support, I need you to say yes. I need this community to collectively come together and have the courage to support measures that are going to make a difference. I get it. I know that you are tired of being looked at in a negative way. The messaging and what happens in politics in San Francisco, I understand that. But you also know that there is no way that we're going to be able to get housing built in San Francisco without you. So it's time for us to change the message. It's time for us to change how we do business. It's time for us to develop our own strategies of how we communicate with voters so that they understand that delaying housing production is denying them an opportunity to afford to live in San Francisco. That's what we're going to have to do. And I'm prepared to do it, but I can't do it alone. I don't want to get left out there hanging like I did with Prop C last year. I need your support now more than ever. I mean, look at what just happened with the jobs housing linkage fee and what happened in the planning department. Not one phone call, not one developer reached out to my office to say, what should we do to strategize around this? And how do we explain to the public that this money has to come from somewhere? San Francisco has the most expensive, you all know this, it's more expensive to build here, one unit, than it is almost any place else. And now we're gonna add fee after fee after fee. Well, where's that fee going to go to? The expense of building housing, and make it economically infeasible to do so. That's the problem that we have in this city. We have to focus on how we communicate the message. We have to make sure that when Senator Scott Wiener is proposing a bill that's going to help make sure that we create units throughout San Francisco, without completely changing the character. People say the neighborhood, the character, we don't want, Manhattan-style buildings in our community. What's 4, 5, 6 stories going to do to a neighborhood? It's going to provide new units for people who need them. It's going to help decrease housing costs. We all know what this stuff is going to do, but we have to have the courage to help with the messaging, to organize, to come together. And when the calls are made to ask for support on these important initiatives, you have to be prepared to say yes, because we are in this together. We are here because, yes, this is the industry you work in, but you also, many of you, are a part of the fabric of San Francisco. Just think about what Tishman Speyer did when they worked with the community. Some of you stepped up and also helped them purchase their building so that they're a permanent fixture in the community. They work with West Bay Filipino Community Center and some of the other amazing organizations that make up the fabric of that community. That's what we have to do, and that's what we have to highlight. We can't just be content with doing our projects and going about the business of our business. We have to be concerned about the future of San Francisco and how we contribute to making that a better future. I'm committed to creating a better future. And I'm not going to shy away from any industry in the process of doing so, because we have work to do. We have proven
that good development can happen in the city. Great partnerships can happen in the city. I mean, Chase Arena. Look at how fast that happened. Look at what they did to make sure that local community people were working on that project. Look at what they did to make sure that local community businesses were a part of Chase Center for Future Generation. Local artists, Cressida Eyes, and an incredible mural. I mean, just amazing partnerships, rebuilding courts in neighborhoods that have been neglected for decades. The work that they did to become a part of the fabric of the community. I didn't support Chase Center just because I love the Warriors. They had to make it clear that they were going to do something more than build an arena. They had to connect to the community that was around them. They had to be a good community steward, a good partner, and they continue to be. That is how we create a better opportunity, better partnerships, better relationships, a more equitable and a more just San Francisco. And we got work to do, folks. It's a new day. I can't create a future that is going to be bright with opportunities for equity around housing in general in this city without your support. I can't make San Francisco all that I know it can be, a place where our transportation system has improved. And yes, the Central Subway will be done in our lifetime. It will be. Well, most of us. Yes, we have to and sometimes suffer the consequences of congestion because of the construction projects and because of our need to change our infrastructure to make our streets safer. Yes, we need more police officers walking the beat in our communities. Yes, we need more shelter beds. We just do. Because it is not easy to help homeless people get off the streets and just get into permanent housing. It's a process, it's complicated. Yes, we need more housing. We need all of it. We need all of it. And however long I'm gonna be mayor, every day I'm gonna continue to fight to make sure that these opportunities are not lost. Too much is at stake. We only need to look at the past and what we didn't do when the economy grew, when the jobs start pouring in, 2.6% unemployment rate in San Francisco. And you all know the numbers. Between 2010 and 2015, 8 jobs created, 1 unit of housing created. And we wonder why there are so many challenges around affordability and neighbor against neighbor and people who are moving here and tech is the bad guy and all of this stuff. We messed up. So let's fix it. Let's fix it by working together. Let's fix it by making sure that the mistakes of the past don't carry us to the future. Let's create a better and a more equitable San Francisco so that your employees and your kids can afford to live here when they become adults. I know Oz is trying to get rid of his kid in his house right now. Let's make sure that we're creating a better future for the next generation. And that involves having the courage. That involves having the courage. That involves trusting and supporting the work of my administration. And yes, that involves attacking those who continue to put forth the kinds of policies that do nothing for our city, that make it even more difficult for us to do anything in our city. So over the next couple of months, it won't be easy. I'm on the ballot, so please vote for me too. But there are other things going on in San Francisco. Elections have consequences. Elections have consequences. What does it matter if you have power when you don't have the power to use it for something that's going to actually make a difference? So I need your help. I need your help in working together with our city departments. We'll continue to do all we can. And John is going to help us with our search for our new director. He's like, I'm not leaving until I'm ready to leave, right, John? But he's going to help us make sure that we get a good new director for planning, a new director for MTA, a new future for San Francisco with new leadership that is going to work with your community on many of the challenges that we have faced. I am determined to cut the red tape. I am determined to get rid of the bureaucracy. And getting rid of the bureaucracy sometimes is expensive. It sometimes requires going to the ballot. It sometimes requires developing the right communication strategy, and oftentimes that can be costly, unfortunately, but necessary because of what it can do to create a more sustainable, a better, a just San Francisco. So over the next couple months, I'm going to be counting on each and every one of you. It's time to roll up our sleeves. It's time to get re-energized. You can't just be content with the fact that your project was approved. We have to stand together. We have to work together because the future of our city is depending on it. And I know that when we look back, hopefully 5 years from now, and when we see people moving into these places, these new places all over San Francisco, we can think, wow, we didn't think it'd happen in 5 years. But look at what we've been able to do together because we made the right investments. Look at what we've been able to achieve because we stood together and we worked together. It's not about playing politics. It's about making the right decisions and the right investments for a brighter future for San Francisco. So that's my message here today. I need your help to move San Francisco forward. I have an incredible vision, a vision that involves better transportation, cleaner streets, no one sleeping on the sidewalk because we have places for people to go at any given time. A place where opportunities exist for kids who are growing up in public housing, working in your industry, working anywhere they want in San Francisco. I think it could be a brighter San Francisco, a better San Francisco. And it's just going to take a lot of work and a lot of will to get it done. So I'm going to be counting on you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here today to share what I know could be a brighter and better San Francisco for not just everyone in this room, but for those who are all over our city waiting for us to make the right decisions. Thank you all so much.